everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. I have put up that's a loose term. I've put up most of the stuff that is retiring, but I didn't really put it up. I moved it into a giant box. So now it's right in the middle of my office floor. But in my world, I am going to move from the current, it's current for about 2.5 more weeks, catalog, and I'm going to start focusing on the new catalog. So if you're my customer, all of them are in the mail. So they went out over the last couple of days. I think I got every last one of them out. So you should have gotten an email from Pirate Ship with your tracking number. If you think that you needed a catalog, because I have this list and this list and this list, and then I kind of take them off. A couple of you got 2 labels and then I realized it and I voided one. But if you think that you should have gotten one and I have your email address and you don't see a tracking, then feel free to contact me and ask if one's coming. So I am moving on to this because I'm getting ready for Try It class. I have the Create With Us tutorial I got to do. I have a fake wedding next week. I have friends coming over to do a shoebox swap next week. And we're getting ready for a club and the incentive trip. So I have so much to do in the next couple of weeks that I started a to-do list and then I stopped because it was overwhelming. So in my world, we're going to move on to this catalog so I can have you prepped, because we'll be out of the country when it goes live and for a few days before that. So we're going to start thinking about ordering from the new catalog. But with that, I have an online exclusive today. I'm using stuff that you can currently get, so you can still get my thank you gifts for this month. And there is a couple of things that have gone up in price, or will go up in price when this catalog comes out. If you're on my email list, I have sent that to you before, and then I will be resending it with this email that goes with this tutorial. So you might want to take a look at that. That said, none of the price increases are that big. I went to the grocery yesterday. I was going to buy blueberries, and they were $7.99, and they weren't even organic. They were plain old blueberries for $7.99. So nothing in our catalog has gone up as much as groceries. So there's that, at least, to take solace from. So in my world of new catalog, assuming it's May 1st, this is all stuff you can get. Until then, you can just start making your shopping list. And I'm going to tell you about some of my kickoff specials today as well. So this is the airplane. You're going to need this set. This little word set is a must-have. And dies are fabulous. Then here's new paper, new folder, new glimmer papers, new stamps. Same with this. This one does have some retired ribbon on it. I think that most of these were straight up new catalog. This one does have retired ribbon. It has the new beige. But this ribbon, if you're going to get the $100, get this ribbon right now while it's on clearance, because it looks really good with that. Then we have this. And then if you go watch this tutorial, I still have registration open for a few more days. It's not going to stay open much longer. I have ink all over my hands. I just saw that. But this is for my Try It class. So if you're looking at all this stuff and thinking, I wish I had all of that, then Try It class can be the way that you can at least try it. So go watch this video. In my Try It class, we make 10 projects. It's online. You get video tutorials for all of them. You get a PDF tutorial for every project. But every project uses a new paper. And so we'll get 10 of the new papers and a couple more. Like this one would have, some of them will have specialty paper. You'll get all the new ribbons pretty much and all the new embellishments pretty much. And then we'll try it together. But registration for this does end soon. So let's get going. And if you need a catalog, I have more on the way. I currently have one. But if you don't have a demonstrator sending you a catalog, I'd be happy to send you one. If you're in the United States, I say that, and then sometimes after the video, I get requests from all over the world. It has to be in the U.S. So for my one of my kickoff specials, every time a new catalog comes out, I do kickoff specials. So I do monthly specials every month. So you can go see what month we're in. The April ones are now. But catalog kickoff week, which isn't a full week, I usually do like 3 or 4 days. If you purchase the bundle of the new stamp pads in the new in colors, then I'm going to send you the beige one for free. And that will be in addition to the normal May thank you gifts, but it will only be during catalog kickoff. If you're on my email list, you'll get all the details as we I'll tell you in this email, but then I'll tell you again as we get closer. So for this card, I am going to use Layers of Beauty. It's a really pretty stamp set. It's a very big stamp set. So you're going to need the background size block. So if you don't have that, that's something you could get this month. And then here are the dies, which we're going to use several of the dies. I do want to point out that one of the things these dies do is this one cuts out the whole one. That's the one we're using on this card. But then there's this one right here, and it just cuts out this main rose. So you can have some to layer, or if you just want a smaller rose, just stamp this part and have the smaller rose. And then there's a little tag and some leaves. Then also that comes with, I'm not using on this particular card, are the Layers of Beauty decorative masks. And you can watch my Enduring Beauty one. That one I actually watercolored with the masks, but you can lay them on here and really quickly get some color. So let's get stamping. I'm going to use all the new in colors, and then I'm going to use the beige just to show you, if you buy them all, what you'll end up getting. So here's the beige cardstock. That's going to be our background, or base of the card. And then I have a piece of vanilla that I have cut. It's a little smaller than 4 and about 5. So it's maybe 3 7/8. I wanted a little bit more of the beige to show. Let's go ahead and stamp this thing first. So I have, this is an online exclusive. If you haven't picked this up yet, I don't remember what it's called. And when I get these, I have a few of the large backgrounds, and the ones I'm going to use are large stamp bases. And when I get a stamp I know I'm going to keep using, I put the case up and I just keep this on here right where I can get it. I should have cleaned my fingers off. Yes, I just licked them. Who else does that? It's not coming off. It's been on since I made the first card. So this is a new color, Peach Pie. Just going to ink this thing up here in the Peach Pie. And then there's 2 ways you can do this. You can flip it right over, but it doesn't matter. It may be called soft. No, it's not stippled. I don't remember what it's called. I'm going to lay this on here because it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm not going to even press. If you want it to be perfect, you can get your brayer, or you can flip it over the other way. We're just creating a background, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. So here's this. Get a little bit more here where I didn't touch the edge. I was trying to not get my fingers dirty. So now we just have a nice, fun background. The peach looks darker when it's wet, and as it dries, it will get a little lighter. And then I want a little bit to just kind of show on the edges of my card. So I'm just going to lay this on here, and again, I'm just going to press. It's no wonder my fingers are dirty, because this is kind of a messy card. So I'm just pressing around the edges to kind of use up that extra ink that I didn't get the first time. And if you use it all the first time and you want to add a little bit more, you could, but I just want this to kind of be subtle. A little bit more there. That looks pretty good. So I know it looks messy, but then you lay all this stuff on top and it doesn't look as messy anymore. So that's this. You can get this now. It's an online exclusive. I will put it underneath the video so you can see it. This is watercolor cardstock. I do think that it's going up in price, but I haven't looked at that list for a minute. For some reason, I just feel like that may be one of the things that is. So I'm going to use StazOn. So when you use StazOn with photopolymer, you can. You just want to make sure that you clean it off quickly, because it is pouring rain here. And it's been pouring rain for days. Raining, 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 raining. In fact, it looks like we live in Scotland or Ireland. It's very green and lush outside. But I stamped the first time with Memento, and then I went to watercolor. Even though it had sat for a couple minutes, it just smeared. So then I let it sit a little bit longer, and it's still smeared. Because when it's humid, it just takes a long time. If you live someplace like in Las Vegas, use your Memento. So to stamp this, I'm going to put my spongy pad. You can use a mouse pad if you don't have one of these. If you don't have one, get one, because they're inexpensive out of the catalog. But it will help get this giant stamp all the way on here. And you can see it doesn't fit the whole way. And I'm standing up, but I would rather, I don't need all the flowers because this is a giant stamp, and the way I'm using it, I don't need it all. So I'm going to let some go off the card so I can get another one at the top. Okay. Stays on sticky, so it probably will stick. You can see where I tried it once without the foam pad. Just since it's stuck, we'll do it this way. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna rinse this off real quick, so hang on. Actually, let's go ahead and cut it. This is a different order than I made my original card, but you know, when you do the first time through it, you're not sure what you're doing. So I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and use, you could get another flower on here, but it will be easier for me to show you the dies with them all on at once. So here's the big die, and it does all the flowers. I'm gonna let it go through first because the other ones I'm just going to cut shapes. So it's more important that this doesn't move than they don't move. And you can see the way that I have it on the cardstock, it's just gonna fit. So now let's throw these dies on here. So there's 4 leaves. And then a little tag. Will a tag fit there? Just. Push that over. So we almost saved another whole, enough to do the flowers again. And I think we could, because like I said, I'm not using them all. So make sure this is all lined back up on here. Now, when you put the top on these, you want to make sure that you don't do this. I see so many people put this in and then do this and they move. Just back this out all the way so you can go straight down. So you want to go straight down, because see, it can get that little bump, especially if you have your heat on, like I do in April, because it's raining and it's yucky outside. But sometimes the static electricity will just grab. I'm going to go through twice, just front and back, because it is watercolor cardstock. This will just make sure it pops out easier. So we have our little tag, and then all of our leaves. And this, on my other one, I cut apart, so we'll kind of see how it looks on this card and see whether or not I want to cut it apart. Pop these out. This way I'll be able to paint them all at the same time. The first time I did it, I just went back and painted the leaves that I needed. There we go. So even though it's a thicker cardstock, I passed through once and twice and it was done. So let's watercolor this. I'm going to grab some scrap paper. Put all these up here so we're ready for them and I don't forget them, because sometimes I do this and then I forget. So let's start. Again, I'm going to do it in a different order than I did my other one. Let's start with the Pretty in Pink. And I'm going to kind of change the colors of the flowers on this one. They're still going to be the same 6 colors that I did the first time. So this is Pretty in Pink. It's a returning color. It was around a long time ago. We've had so many colors. If my tongue was Stampin' Up, sometimes I'm like, no wonder you get memory issues when you get older. There's so much in your head. So I'm going to squish that, and we're going to start with a water painter. You can get these now. I love my water painters, and I love them with the watercolored cardstock. So I'm just going to make a little palette. We can't get pre-buy the refills, and I would kind of prefer to have the refills for this, but we're just going to make it work. See, I did this on my other one, and immediately the black smeared. So if you have issues with memento smearing, and it is muggy where you live, then just get a Stays-On. And you know, I have a couple of Stays-On pads, and then I got this new one, and a new Versamark, a new white pad, and a new Stays-On. There's nothing better. After time, the Stays-On, because it's flash drying, they just get kind of hard. So I'm filling these in with Pretty in Pink. The first time I did it, I did the petunia first. And then when I was done, I kind of wished that my flowers were more pink as opposed to the petunia color. We have that. Then I'm going to move to my next lightest color, which will be the peach pie. Just have I always let the top wet wipe out of my wet wipes stick out the top. Everybody that comes to my office is like, your wet wipes are open. But I like to have one that's basically mostly dry to use for stuff like this. So let's get the peach. Grab some, and I'm just going to do these like little daisies. And you can notice that I am not filling in every single section of everything because I want it to look watercolored. It is watercolored. I don't want it to look like that. If I wanted all of it colored in, you could use the blends. I want this to look watercolory. So if you do one pass through with a lighter one and then go back and just grab a little bit more, this is where a lot of you then end up filling the whole thing in instead of leaving the white. When you go back to add the second little highlight coat, don't go into the white. You're just going over a little bit more of where you already had the first color. Okay, let's squeeze the water out. These are so easy to clean. Now we're going to do the Petunia Pop. It's a pretty color. It's a really fun pinkish purple. And make sure the first time it isn't too dark, so I'm just going to grab some of this. That looks good. Now I'm just going to take, you can see where I have this lighter color that I've been using. I'm going to go right in here and get some of the stronger color and just do my little daisy centers with that. Here's a little flower I forgot, so that one can just be Petunia. And then we have these little rose buds. There's not a lot of them. And it kind of depends. Here's some here, and I didn't stamp those well enough, but it kind of depends on how you angle your stuff since I didn't get the whole design on here. I do have more of those on my, maybe not. Maybe I ended up cutting them off too. Get this out. This time I want to make sure it's out because we're going to switch to green. So I want my water to drip clean. There we go. Now let's start. I'm going to start with the lighter, which is the Summer Splash. It has a blue tinge to it. And there's two shapes of leaves. You can see that there's the smooth shaped ones and then the jaggedy ones. So I'm going to tell myself this first time I'm going to do the jaggedy ones, but sometimes I'm not paying attention and I forget. And I do the wrong one. These greens are close, but there's a definite difference. The Shamrock is a definite brighter and doesn't have as blue tinge to it. So jagged, let's do jagged. Okay, that's one pass through. I think I got most of the jagged ones. I'm just going to do the same thing where I'm going to grab a little bit more ink as opposed to water. Just kind of throw a little bit in the centers of these. I think that's a jagged one. Sometimes you can tell by which stem they're attached to. Okay, now before I clean my brush off, let's take the two jagged dies from this. And I'm just going to add some water in here, kind of just quickly add some color to this. So that's the Shamrock. No, sorry, that's the Summer Splash. Now I get the ink off of here. Oh, my fingers are bad now. Now we'll do the Shamrock. So move this back over here, and now we're going to get the smooth leaves or any leaves that we missed. It's always best to add a little bit of water and get your palette kind of going. Otherwise, especially on the watercolor cardstock, it can be a little bit dry and it doesn't move well. And you want your ink to kind of move around. I'm going to not use those. Those didn't stamp well. Neither did those. Okay, got all those. This is when you can really see the difference between these two colors. This is a much brighter true green, and that's a more muted blue green. Okay, so that's all the painting. But especially when you end with a dark color like this, I'm going to make sure that I get the green off of here. It can stain. This is why my fingers have the green ink on them. I think I've already filmed a couple things. This is the last thing I'm doing today, which is good because that's kind of a hot mess. So we're done with the painting. Now there's the little tag. And there's a tiny little sentiment that says, God bless. On the tiny little tag. I think I stamped a little crooked, but there's enough going on this card that it won't matter. Okay, let's put this together. So I got to this stage in the card and I realized I hadn't used the beige, and I wanted to use the beige because, like I said, the first couple of days in May, if you buy the in color stamp pads from me, then you'll get the beige one as a free gift from me. So I kind of wanted to use the beige. And then when I put this on here, it was a little bit brighter than I wanted it to be. Not too bad, but I wanted this, if we keep this just the color of watercolor cardstock, it'll pop off more. So first we need to decide how we want to put this on here. So grab your scissors, and anything that's nasty, I'm going to get rid of it first because that did not stamp well. This didn't stamp great. Watercolor cardstock can be a little temperamental. This is bad. And then because it's a large design, so I'm going to put this on here. I know that I want it to go square off the card. So this little guy right here, I didn't have it on my first one. I'm going to cut it off and we'll just use it somewhere else. So the other one I cut square. This one I think I might leave it. And I cut this part of this piece off. But I think it's going to fit okay like this on this one. So let's go ahead and stick this on. Oh, look, it's gone. That's the wrong one. I always have empty ones and full ones and refills and everywhere. So let's put this on like this. And this time, instead of squaring this off, I'm just going to go ahead and let it overhang. And then I'm going to not put any of this stuff on yet, but I'm going to grab my beige stamp pad, basic beige. It's part of the new basic line, part of our basic line. And then I'm just going to add a little bit to kind of tone the vanilla down and make it look like it's a little bit more vintage. I'll kind of tie those colors in. These are kind of bright colors. We're just going to tap this on here. And I'm also going to get a little bit here to kind of give that a vintage feel. But But I don't want it all. I don't want it to be beige beige, but I just want to kind of make the vanilla not feel like it's so vanilla on top of my beige. And if you tap, you can kind of get it to be a little bit lighter. On my first one, I started blending, and then I thought, oh, you could do with a little less. There we go. Kind of gives it a vintage flair. Now let's take our little pieces here. I'm going to take the new beige ribbon. This is called, it will be in the new catalog, beige bordered ribbon. You don't need a lot. It's very light ribbon. I want to make sure that I cut it at an angle, so I can pop it through this little hole here. And you always want to do it longer because you can see this is shredding, and I love to deconstruct me some ribbon, but not on this card. So I wanted to have enough that I'd be able to trim the end. Just going to tie a simple knot. You can do 1 or 2, kind of depending. On my other one, I did 2 because it was going the wrong direction. This one, I tied it right. And trim off that. So now we have all these little pieces to work with. I'm gonna put one here. These, you can pop the centers out of the leaves. I did on one, and then I decided I liked it better with them in. If they fall out, it's okay. But if they stay in, I decided to leave mine because I popped the one out and it just kind of made it look like I had a hole in it. So let's stick this. Make sure it's staying on my card. It's not quite. You never push anything down until you're sure it's where you want it to go. There we go. And then we have this one. I'm going to put my God Bless down here. So let's stick this so it kind of goes under there. And then we have, I'll put this one here as well. We have these little guys. This is totally different arrangement than my first one. Let's do it here. I'm going to grab my dimensionals, but look how tiny this is. So you can either get the mini dimensionals or you can use the edges off of a sheet that's from a class, so they're a little bit different shapes. Or a kit, or a paper pumpkin. I don't know. I make the kits or paper pumpkins, and then you always have spare supplies, and you can't throw away dimensionals, right? And then we have this, which, like I said, I didn't have this in my first one. I think I'm going to stick that right there. It's going to need another little dimensional. And I'm just going to put it on half of it. So the half that has it can go so it's the same level as my, don't need that. So I got to this point. I still have the embellishments to go, but I felt like the black was kind of stark now because now we've kind of toned it down. I did think about using my brown stays on. I should have done that the second time to see if I liked it with the beige, and I think it might have helped it have a more vintage feel than the black, but I felt like it was still kind of like the vanilla and the watercolor cardstock. I felt like they were still not blending. So I wanted something that was going to blend it all together. That was my hope when I did this and this, and then this and that, but it still needed one more thing. So I just grabbed my black blend because we're going for the vintage look anyways. And I'm just gonna, plus if your hands are filthy like this and you've gotten smudges on your card, this will kind of take care of it. So I'm just gonna add a few little drops of black. And then that kind of pulled the whole card back together, and it pulled the black ink in so it wasn't so stark. But maybe I'll do one and I'll show you what it looks like and stays on at a later date. So then for my embellishments, we have the 24, 26 in color resin dots. They'll be in the new catalog. So every night, I think tonight I might look at the catalog. It's been a hot minute since I actually looked at it because I got the stuff. I'm going to use one of each color. My other one, I put a dot embellishment on here, but I won't do that because of the little thing I cut out. But I think, I'm going to look at the catalog and decide what we're going to do for club in May. All the stuff I need to order for Try It class, because we've only been able to order a selection of stuff. So I can't even start designing my Try It class until after we get back from Mexico. But then every night I'm too tired, so it hasn't happened. I intended to do it the day of, we did take Monday off for the eclipse, which was fabulous. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for it, but it was completely incredible. But it was also a beautiful day. And so my husband and I floated in our pool, which April, and now it's, I have the heat on. So when you're floating in the pool, you don't want to take your brand new catalog out there and look at it. And it's hard to write. So here we go. So let's look at the difference. This one, you can see I cut this little bit off and then tucked it back behind so it would fit on here better. But then afterwards I thought, it could have reached over. And instead of letting those hang off, they hadn't quite made the paper when I stamped on it. And so I just lined them up to that. But otherwise, basically, you can see this where I started to do blending brush instead of dabbing brush. It got to be a little bit more, but overall, if you gave these two cards to people and said, show me what the difference is, nobody's going to notice. So if you need a catalog, if you're interested in my online classes, sign up for my email, and then you'll find out about my upcoming new catalog specials, and you'll find out about the few things that have price increases. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.